I love the weird and quirky laptops of the mid-1990s. And here, I think I found one of the quirkiest. It's a full-sized Pentium laptop, which for some reason has an entire gamepad shoehorned into the palm rest. And today, we're gonna find out if this was in any way a good idea. So stay tuned. And if you enjoy the literally anything goes mindset of mid-90s computing, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. I found this bizarre contraption of a computer at this year's VCF East, where it immediately caught my eye as I wandered through consignment. I thought it was priced just a bit too high, and indeed, it didn't sell all weekend. So I hung around after consignment closed until the seller appeared to collect his unsold wares. He kindly allowed me to haggle a few dollars off the price, and it followed me home. It's in pretty good condition with a few minor blemishes, though the hinge could use some tightening. Much like me, it's missing a few screws, and possibly for the best, the original battery is completely missing. I pulled out my universal power adapter, set it to 16 volts, and the beast powers on just fine. Though I'm a bit concerned about the old spinning hard drive. It makes an uncomfortable amount of noise. There is precious little information about this thing online, but from the little I've found, this was originally built by a company called Clevo as an OEM computer meant to be sold rebranded by other brands. It was sold as Clevo, Sager, Kapok, Comex, and of course, ProStar, like we have here. Apparently, the gamepad on this palm rest is just a serial gamepad, and any game that supports serial gamepads can see it just fine. We'll take this thing apart and see how it's connected internally. And while we're in there, I'd like to image the original hard drive and replace it with a CF card and adapter, and the built-in speakers sound pretty crunchy. Maybe we can replace those too. Right after this quick word about today's sponsor, Delete Me. Today's internet is a weird place. Everything you do and say online is analyzed, cataloged, and chopped up, and then sold on the open market of data brokers. And it's not just shady advertisers buying this data. Your private info can wind up in the hands of scammers, fraudsters, and worse. Oh look, another political text. This is exactly the kind of thing that Delete Me can help to address. I've been using Delete Me for well over a year now, and they help me control my personal information in ways that I was never able to accomplish manually. They constantly scour the internet for my info and report back to me exactly which data brokers and websites have it. And then, well, they delete me. Just look at my listings removed over time. A big spike in the beginning where they removed the huge amount of data on me that was floating out there, and then a consistent removal of all the data that keeps popping back up. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/actionretro and use promo code actionretro at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/actionretro, code actionretro. All right, so the hard drive is just a latch and then pops right out. We have a whopping 1.3 gigabytes. Slide out the floppy drive, and this panel probably hides memory. Hey, look at that. We've got instructions for overclocking on a sticker inside the case here. So interestingly, the gamepad is actually two separate PCBs with two completely separate connections to the motherboard. And at least from the bottom, it doesn't appear to have any logic on here, just connections for the buttons. Let's just pop off the D-pad and verify that. Yeah, look at that. It is just the D-pad buttons on here, and I think some sort of a pass-through for maybe a proprietary external controller. Neat. The controller connects to the motherboard here and here, where the traces disappear into the rest of the circuitry. While we're in here, let's swap out these horrible speakers. I have these new ones, which should actually be a direct fit replacement. Slightly smaller, but brand new. And they're sticky, so they'll just stick in here. Yeah, look at that. I also want to replace this super noisy fan. So I accidentally got an even teenier fan than the one that I'm replacing. But that's just details. I'm sure this will be fine. Just look how teeny tiny it is. Yeah, shoved it in there, fits just fine. With the help of double-sided tape. All right, let's see if we can tighten up these hinges a little bit. Well, we've got some plastic carnage in here. We'll have to see if we can glue this back in place. We'll just slather on some of this automotive grade super glue and see if it holds. And with these hinges out, we can just twist to tighten them a bit. Okay, let's image this original hard drive and then we'll clone it to a CF card that we can install instead. I've just got one of these IDE to USB adapters. Plug it into USB and yeah, we can hear it spinning up. Now we'll do disk util list. Yeah, it actually shows up as laptop. And yeah, that's dev disk 5. So now I can do dd input file equals dev disk 5, output file equals, I guess, we'll do prostar.img, and then status equals progress so we can watch it. Yeah, hard drive is clicking away. All right, and we have a prostar.img now. And since it's about 1.5 gigabytes, I have a 2 gigabyte CF card. Plug this into my adapter here. Oh, it's got TinyCore on it. There we go. We're now flashing the image to that CF card. All right, I've let this automotive super glue set for like at least an hour and a half. Let's see if it holds. I'm slightly concerned since we made these hinges even tighter. Is it going to hold up? All right, let's try to line this up. That'll be fine. All right, new speakers do indeed connect. Can't forget to hook up the goofy gamepad. Button this back up. I'm going to stick the CF card in this little adapter here, which we can plug right in, like so. All right, let's see if this thing has survived its surgery. It has! Hooray! And it is much quieter. Speakers work, and it plays a super weird startup sound. Okay, let me restart this because I want to hear that weird startup jingle it does. What in the heck is that? It's like they're trying to do a Macintosh chime thing, but it happens in the middle of the boot process and Windows already does its own chime. So that's just weird. Anyway, here we are, our functional ProStar with gamepad buttons. I suppose we should boot up a game and make sure everything has been successfully reconnected. Of course, we have Wolfenstein 3D, which came pre-installed on this beast. Oh, sound is good now. Listen to that. Oh yeah, gamepad works. It's super awkward, but also kind of incredible. I gotta say, I kind of love it. Alright, I also took the opportunity to pop Doom on here when we were plugged into the MacBook Pro. Alright, in the setup here we have configure controller, and we'll call it joystick. Okay, keyboard plus joystick. Illegal operation? Oh no! Windows 95. Good old Microsoft ScanDisk says it fixed it. Alright, maybe a little Duke Nukem. Alright, controller buttons do not work out of the box. All right, controller setup. Choose controller type. Keyboard and gamepad. Oh yeah, it works now. Amazing. It's not really the best thing to play with. Yeah, you still have to use the keyboard. But hey, at least it works. Yeah, you know, these controller buttons, they're mushy, but they're not the worst thing I've ever felt. I'd say they're kind of equivalent to like a Sega Genesis or a Nintendo controller, which makes sense given that there's just the same exact kind of rubber membrane underneath. Not too shabby. What I don't get is how are they expecting you to actually hold this? Like awkward game controller or something? Like the world's most top-heavy Game Boy? I mean, it kind of works, I guess. Boy, this is actually very painful. Ow, my arms and my hands. I don't think this is a very feasible way to play this. Although it's quite hilarious. Boy, this is quite uncomfortable. Could you imagine just like sitting around outside holding your laptop like this? This is absolutely ridiculous. And that's why it's so freaking incredible. I kind of love it because it's delightfully awful. Though the screen on this thing is actually really rather good. And these new speakers are awesome. Alright, so that's the super weird and kind of amazing ProStar gaming laptop. I kind of unironically love this thing. The screen is actually really good. The controller button gimmick is hilarious and kind of fun to use. And it sounds great with those speakers that were super cheap on Amazon. So I'll definitely link those down in the description. I do want to try to overclock this thing with that handy, convenient sticker on the inside. Maybe even pop in a different CPU because it's actually socketed in there. In any event, that'll do it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more super weird stuff like this, please subscribe down below. And thank you very much for watching. And I just want to give a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters and channel members. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for supporting me and supporting this channel and all the weird stuff I do. I am so very grateful, and I just could not do this without you.